All right, so we're going to do some lightning talks. So we're going to need to see a picture of lightning if you can. There we go. And we're going to introduce our first speaker, the first guy to bring core to Arizona, Mr. Dan Ambuul Jr.
Hello. Thank you guys all for coming out today. I want to say that when I was growing up, a lot of people said, I'm humbled to be here speaking. And I thought that was idiotic. I was like, I'm forced to listen to you. Why are you the one who's humbled? But today I want to thank Luke and I want to thank Inferno because I was proven wrong. And the reason that I'm humbled here today is because sitting in this audience are so many men who are so much better than me and are the men that I grew up idolizing and wanting to build my life just like them. Thank you to those men, and thank you especially to Inferno for bringing those men together and showing me what it's like for great Catholic men to come together with each other and be happy for the faith. This was so inspiring to me that when I left, I go to law school in Arizona, didn't know anyone out there, and I moved out there. I joined an Exodus 90 group with 6 dudes I'd never met. And I joined this group because I knew maybe someday we can start something that can be a little close to what Inferno has done. And we decided that we didn't want it just to be 90 days, like most Exodus groups are. We wanted it to be permanent and last longer. And to this day, we've had weekly meetings, and our group has expanded from 7 people to triple the size of interest. And that's simply with us talking to each other and talking to close friends. And there's 2 big things, thanks to Men's Inferno and thanks to some specific particularities of our group, that have allowed us, and God has blessed us, to get this far in this little time. First, we had fun together. If anyone's ever done Exodus before, you'll know that Exodus can get very boring, tedious, and frustrating. And the weekly meetings are very important, but you'll get bored of them because you're just repeatedly going through sins and you're not meeting the men on their own level. We forced ourselves to have fun. We played Catan, we got together, we cooked meat together. We got together and did so many other random things like playing pickleball. But second, and most importantly, we showed up and we opened up. I'll give you an example of how important this is. Summers in Arizona, it gets to about 118 degrees. I was not accustomed to this heat at all. And it was the middle of the summer, we had finished Exodus, but we were still meeting weekly, and I was having a real rough time. I was exhausted, I was overworked and overcommitted, and I love my cheesy scrambled eggs. And so I have some shredded cheddar cheese sitting in my fridge, super excited to eat it, take it out of the fridge, and I spill some of it onto the ground. And now the logical thing to do in this case would have been to pick up my broom 5 feet away, sweep up the cheese, and go on with my day. But I was in such a rough place that I let that cheese sit on the ground. 2 seconds of work, I let it sit there. And this was a Tuesday. I let it sit there all the way until Saturday. And it turned into this plastic cheddar cheese combination that I would touch with my foot every now and then, very gross. And I didn't have the motivation to move it. But you know what brought me out of that funk? Was the men who show up every week for my core group to talk with me, to talk with our Lord, and be there for me. Some of them coming from 30, 40 minutes away just to be there. And I looked at myself on that Saturday before the meeting, and I said, if they can show up from 30 minutes away to be with me and listen to me, then I can fight through this, I can pick up a broom, and I can sweep up the plastic cheese. So I did. Yeah, you can clap. You can clap. Bring it in. So I swept up the cheese, and my friends were there to help me. And among the other things that we learned was that if you really want to be a group that encourages your friends to sweep up their spilled cheese, you can't just show up, you have to open up. And this is a harsh truth that I needed to learn and that every man I've ever known has needed to learn. You are not strong and you are not courageous for hiding when you're in a state of sin and for hiding when you're in a state of fear. It's hard, and I admit that it's hard to talk about those things and to push through those things, but you cannot be deceived for 1 second into thinking that you are being powerful or you're fulfilling your role as a man by hiding from the church, hiding from your friends, and hiding from your family. There's an army of demons, and there's an army of cowards who are wishing and hoping that you continue hiding, that you isolate yourself from your group, that you isolate yourself from God when you're sad, when you're worried about work, when you're in a state of sin. And right here today, you can look around and see that there are so many more wonderful men, angels and saints praying for you to do the opposite and go to confession, go to your priest, and join your core group. This is the place to be. If you don't have a core group, this is the best place to get involved. And if you do have a core group, I encourage you to do the real courageous thing. Continue showing up to help your friends sweep up their cheese, but most importantly, be willing to open up and be fully courageous. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan.